Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Here we are on the 26th day of January, so I'm going to start this one out by reminding everyone that it was exactly 1 year ago today that we lost a great patriot, Lavoy Finicum, in the Oregon situation that was held out there. They want to call it the Oregon standoff, I guess, when he was gunned down by the FBI and the Oregon State Highway Patrol. And it still hasn't been brought to court yet for the the travesty that was committed. Please, everyone, remember the Finicums in your prayers today, in your thoughts, because I'm sure that this has got to be a very rough day for Mrs. Finicum and her family. In this issue, I have 3 articles for you. All the URLs are in the description of this video for your convenience. This first one here is off Natural News, and it says CDC whistleblowers come forward over ethics issue. An anonymous group of scientists from the CDC have joined forces to create a coalition against the uncouth practices the government agency has been undertaking and to expose them for all they're worth. The heroic group goes by the acronym CDC SPIDER, the latter half of which stands for Scientists Preserving Integrity, Diligence, and Ethics in Research. In their accusatory letter, the CDC SPIDER group wrote to Carmen S. Viller, Chief of Staff at the CDC, and a copy was sent to the renowned watchdog organization, U.S. Rights to Know, or the USRTK. We are a group of scientists at CDC are very concerned about the current state of ethics at our agency. It appears that our mission is being influenced and shaped by outside parties and rogue interests. It seems that our mission and congressional intent for our agency is being circumvented by some of our leaders. What concerns us most is that it is becoming the norm and not the rare exception. The letter goes on to note that several senior management officials are clearly aware of what is transpiring and continue to remain silent, merely turning a blind eye and acting as if these unacceptable practices aren't taking place. The CDC SPIDER group states that some of these officials are even encourage these practices. CDC SPIDER writes that these illegitimate behaviors are taking place at all levels and units of the CDC. No one appears to be immune. The group states these questionable and unethical practices threaten to undermine our credibility and reputation as a trusted leader in public health. Concerns about the CDC's ethics have been on the rise for the last several months, the culmination of which truly resides in CDC SPIDER's monumentous letter. While their complaints were filed anonymously for obvious reasons like fear of retribution, CDC SPIDER could very well be the face of a revolution against a government added with corporate interests and steeped in fake science. It's easy to see how the CDC could fall prey to corporate interests. A quick look at the CDC Foundation reveals a huge list of corporations that donated money to the CDC during the 2016 fiscal year. Among the dozens of companies on the list, one can see that several big-name brands have made such donations. Abbott Laboratories, Merrick, Bayer Corporation, Cargill Incorporated, the Coca-Cola Company, and Pfizer Foundation are just a few of the names on the list. Oddly enough, one of SPIDER's complaints is noted by Carrie Gilliam for Huffington Post was that CDC had developed a troubling relationship with the beverage giant Coca-Cola and their nonprofit group International Life Science Institute, or the ILSI. One must wonder if the relationship with other cash donors might also be viewed as unsettling. The Coca-Cola relationship is particularly startling when you note the fact that several CDC scientists appear to have colluded with them or the ILSI to further the beverage industry's agenda. One example of this was when the CDC's director for heart disease and stroke prevention, Barbara Bowman, had to retire after her bad behavior came to light. She was apparently even giving a Coke advocate guidance on how to influence World Health Authorities on sugar and beverage policies. Another scientist, Dr. Michael Pratt, has come under fire for his close work with the ILSI, co-authoring papers funded by Coca-Cola, and most disturbingly, even receiving funding and attending industry-sponsored events and conferences. While the CDC Foundation notes that their organization is authorized by Congress to facilitate partnerships between CDC and the private sector, one can't help but wonder if the concerns brought forth by CDC Spider are possibly related to the foundation. While the organization appears to make great efforts to create some semblance of ethics, it is truly mind-boggling that a government agency is allowed indirectly to take money from major corporations. Despite, for a change, the Spider Group concluded their letter with a plea for Director of Staff to put an end to its corrupt practices by taking place at the CDC. Whether or not anything will come of it remains to be seen. The next one I have is also off of Natural News, and it says Republican trader Paul Ryan now trying to protect Big Pharma from Trump's monopoly dismantling reforms. Though on the surface it may seem like President Donald Trump has it good, politically he's a GOP president at a time when he's also got a Republican majority in Congress. And while Democrats will always be Trump's biggest political obstructionist, he's going to get far too much pushback from establishment Republicans who still don't understand they were given clear mandates by the American people to get certain things done. One of the things involves dramatically reforming health care, and not like President Obama and the Democrats reformed it when they ruled Congress and the White House, a la Obamacare. It's obvious that some Republican leaders don't get this, and one of them may be House Speaker Paul Ryan, Republican of Wisconsin. Ryan, for some reason, appears to be picking a fight with Trump and Vice President Mike Pence over the administration's pledge to tackle the corruption of Big Pharma. Every American adult who has to pay for medications over the last several years knows that they have gone up in price dramatically, and that there seems to be nothing stopping drug makers from boosting prices even on drugs that have been around for a long time. What's more, the price increases are only going to get worse this year, as Trump predicted. In his first press conference in recent days, Trump, speaking at Trump Tower in New York City, promised pharmaceutical industry reforms, including proper bidding on prices, among other measures moving forward. And Breitbart reported that. We have to get our drug industry coming back, he said. Our drug industry has been disastrous. They're leaving left and right. They supply our drugs, but they don't make them here to a large extent. And the other thing we have to do is create new bidding procedures for the drug industry because they're getting away with murder. Pharma has a lot of lobbies, a lot of lobbyists, a lot of power. He went on to note that currently there's very little bidding going on regarding drugs, even though Americans and the U.S. government are the largest consumers of pharmaceutical drugs. We're going to start bidding, said Trump. We're going to save billions of dollars over a period of time. Trump doubled down on his criticisms of Big Pharma later in an interview with the Washington Post, saying that Big Pharma was politically protected, but not anymore. According to Fortune, Trump's comments sent the pharmaceutical industry into a financial tailspin. Enter the donor class favorite House Speaker Ryan. In response, Ryan told Mike Allen of Axios that he wants to have more conversations about the president's efforts to crack down on Big Pharma corruption before it actually happens. For the record, according to money and politics watchdog MapLight, the pharmaceuticals health products industries are one of top 10 donors to Ryan, contributing $381,979 through June of 2016. I believe that the current premium support system with Part D works extremely well, Ryan said. I think there's some real success stories, and I think we need to tell that story. When Allen asked if that also meant telling the president such stories, Ryan replied that it needs to be told to a lot of people. He added, I think incoming Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price understands this issue extremely well. When he was asked about Trump's comments that Big Pharma was politically protected but not anymore, Ryan replied, I don't speak like that. Generally speaking, I'm always looking for win-win situations, and I believe there's a lot more we can do to bring down the price of drugs. The tension is more of the kind we've seen since national populist Trump, the first real president for all the people in several generations, who wants to stand up to the globalists, crony capitalists, and corporatists, began rubbing up against the elitists who run things. The Washington political class has never had to deal with anyone like Trump as president. He is not one of them, so he doesn't view issues and problems through the same political compromised prism as they do. Trump's idea of win-win isn't a bipartisan agreement per se. It's any deal that helps as many Americans as possible, especially those who, up to now, have not had a voice in D.C., while saving the government money and making it more efficient. The ruling elites see win-win as anything that makes it appear as though they're doing something for the people while actually doing something for the donors who keeps them in power. Big difference. And the final one that I have here is another one off of Natural News, and it says Health Ranger announces lab testing donation to Native American communities impacted by Keystone and Dakota pipelines. Yesterday, President Donald Trump signed executive orders to advance 2 oil pipelines that transport oil across North America. Although pipelines are by far the safest form of oil transportation, sometimes they leak and cause environmental damage. To help Native American communities protect their water from the possibility of oil pipeline leaks, today I'm making a significant announcement concerning the donation of laboratory testing services of Native American land and water. As of right now, the nonprofit Consumer Wellness Center, consumerwellness.org, will sponsor the lab testing costs of Native American water samples to be tested at CWC Labs, where I serve as the lab science director. CWC Labs is an internationally accredited ISO 17025 laboratory specializing in forensic analysis of food, water, and environmental samples, and it will offer testing to the CWC using at-cost pricing, so there is zero profit earned in the testing services. As the lab science director at CWC Labs, I oversee mass spec analysis, liquid chromatography, time of flight and other instrumentation that can accurately detect and quantify heavy metals, pesticides, and even fracking chemicals. Until the era of oil is over, we have to monitor our lands and water supplies for possible contamination using the best tools of modern science. As a Native American myself, I share the concern about the contamination of land and water by oil pipelines. At the same time, I recognize the importance of energy independence for America as a crucial strategic resource. The unavoidable truth is that America's economy still largely runs on oil. And the more oil we can acquire in North America, the less oil we have to purchase from foreign nations that abuse human rights, abuse women, abuse gays, and are run by dictatorial tyrants. Saudi Arabia, anyone? In terms of aggregate impact on human rights, the environment, and military expenditures, any oil we can acquire in North America is far less costly than oil from the Middle East. That means until we can develop the vastly improved energy storage technology to move beyond oil, we need to rely on least offensive transport method available, and that happens to be pipelines, which are significantly safer than transporting oil by rail. Yet we must also hold the pipeline companies accountable by monitoring the quality of the water and the land that might be impacted by pipeline leaks. Since the completely useless EPA has no interest in protecting America's environment, it is a useless agency that should be gutted and closed. On the job of real environmental protection falls to concerned citizens like you and I. That's why I'm stepping forward with the promise of using good, solid science to monitor the water quality of Native American communities. Help support our science donations by purchasing Chiefs Organics. It says funds for the testing of Native American water supplies come from a portion of sales of our new Chief Organics product line. The entire product line, which currently features lab-tested ultra-clean whey protein, and premium grade magnesium products raises money for the environment's testing of Native American lands and water sources. If you'd like to help support our mission of offering free lab testing to Native American communities, you can purchase Chief Organics products at the Health Ranger store, and they got a link for it here in this article. Importantly, note that we do not use taxpayer funds to conduct science in the public interest, nor do we wish to receive any taxpayer funds. In truth, and this is a huge topic deserving another story altogether, every time big government gets involved in science, it ends up producing fake science for political purposes, not genuine science based on truth. We cannot trust the government to produce any legitimate science. The EPA, FDA, CDC, USDA, and other agencies exist as nothing more than front groups for corporate interests. If you represent a Native American community and would like us to start testing your water, contact us via CWCI, or try that again, CWClabs.com. That's CWClabs.com, and we'll give you instructions on how to submit samples. And there is a podcast here if you want to pull that up and listen to that. That's all I have for you in this episode today. So if you like what we're doing, give me a thumbs up and let me know. Be sure and share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. Don't forget to subscribe. If you click that bell beside the subscription button and check the box, you'll get email alerts every time I put up a show. And that way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.